Hello, and I am back to talk today about some AI image generators. And only going to go through a couple, but I've been asked a lot of questions about this in the past. And of all the things that generative AI can do, especially ChatGPT, as you can see here, images are one of I would say, the more interesting and also most commonly used um, forms of content. And so, I'm just going to take a couple minutes here talking about this in particular and showing how ChatGPT will work for this. So I'm actually going to show a couple different examples, but most people use ChatGPT. That they use the DALL-E 2 engine, I believe that is, for image creation, and that's where we're going to start today. So I'm at chatgpt.com. And you can see when you log in, there's all sorts of different GPTs that are set up that are open source and exist here. But you can hop right into the image generation. The original versions of ChatGPT did not have this. You had to go to a separate platform. But now it is all contained in one spot, and all you have to do is type in something, create an image of a podcaster uh, who is currently recording a podcast episode. Will make it simple. Now, when you do that, you'll see the first thing that comes up is an image. Pretty straightforward. Um, it will take a couple seconds to load, and there's always a default. The default, honestly, usually is going to begin with a probably a white person, and it's probably a male. A lot of the uh, discourse around ChatGPT has been the biases and the whole idea of it's kind of it's created by white males, and so a lot of the output is going to resemble that. Um, and so chances are, depending on what you are looking for in your image, you're going to need to make some adjustments. Um, I will say that I do think the background, the actual podcast equipment here is pretty interesting. It's pretty good, but I don't really like the guy. So if I were to change it, you can certainly make some edits to it. You could say something like, "Okay, make the podcaster a woman who um, will say." Um, is wearing a heavy sweatshirt. Now, ChatGPT, like other prompts, is pretty good at keeping the conversation going and remembering what you asked it to do previously and what it created previously. However, it does change the fundamental elements of the image. So you see the direction the person is looking has changed. Um, she's not actively speaking like the guy was in the first one. And she's got a computer. And the guy before, I guess he did too. Now that I'm looking at it, they had almost the same computer, but hers looks a little bit different. So you can play around with it by default. I believe I guess you would call it a realistic style exists. But what you can do is also change the style a little bit. And this is where it gets a little tricky because it's possible that if you were to change it and have it to follow a different style, it might not be as good as what you were hoping for. So if I were to say, um, this image is perfect, just make it more comic book, make the style more like a comic book. You will get probably a lot of changes that come with it. It's not just going to be as simple as the same woman looking into the distance with a light in the corner and a computer and a sound mixer. It's going to probably dynamically change. See, now it's different. It is a different woman. She still has the heavy sweatshirt on, but she's doing two different things. Um, I do like the comic book style, and I have actually adopted that for a lot of the images that I create. And that kind of leads me to the second topic that I wanted to talk about, and that is when you are creating AI to generate images, you want to try to, if that, I mean, generative AI is going to create different images for you all the time. By default, I think it will give you this style that is up here with the from the first two people that kind of look realistic, but the more that you can settle on a look and feel for your AI generated images, it's going to help your audience associate you or your brand a little bit more with that certain style. It can be really hard to get an AI platform to understand an existing brand style. And so, what I always tell clients is just start from the beginning, try some different things, right? Maybe you don't like it. Say, um, now change the style to be more Art Deco. Let's see if that will do anything. I'm not even sure if this is going to work because Art Deco is from 100 years ago, but let's see what it comes up with. And I've also never had ChatGPT create something with the words Art Deco. So you can see what it very much Guardian building downtown Detroit style. Um, Interesting, though, nonetheless, how it works. And hey, the word podcast is actually correct. Sometimes it doesn't spell it right. Um, there you can do a lot of different things. There's a lot of different themes that you can work with, and something like ChatGPT, there have been a lot of different inputs, a lot of different styles that have existed over the years. So you can try a lot of different things, right? You could even try something a little bit more niche. Now make the image more, we'll say, late. Look, let's say more. Now make the image. Now make the style more late 1990s. Um, we'll just say late 1990s. Let's see if that does anything. Eventually the styles are going to either start to look too similar or they're going to get a little out of hand. And I'm interested to see what this one looks like. But okay, yeah, it's okay. I don't know if I'd call that late 90s, but whatever. It's worth a try, and you can add some more words into the description. So that's just a general overview of kind of the how the description works. But the one thing I do also want to show you is what not to do. So in here, a lot of people have talked in the past about how ChatGPT is really bad at creating images if you type in the prompt wrong. And usually, what happens is it won't create an image; it'll just give you text. If you say something like this, create an image depicting World War II. And you'll see it's text. And that is because what happens is create an image is the same, right? Create an image, but then the word that follows is the one that really determines what ChatGPT is going to do. Here, sure, it says I'm unable to create an image depicting World War II directly. Okay, fine. But in all of the prompts that I've used previously, it was always if I would say create an image depicting something, it would give me essentially a description. Like, here's what I would do. Create an image depicting the duality of man, like something like that. If it's something a little bit more abstract and a little bit ambiguous, that's when it gets weird. And here it actually did create one for me, which is whoa, scary. But it depending on how you type the prompt, ChatGPT will either just create it for you, like it did for my first couple. It will not create it for you and just give you an image or just give you text. Or the third option, it could talk through the steps like it did here. I do think over time, with especially with the latest version of um, Chat GPT, I think it's 4.0, whatever you want to call it. They've done a better job of understanding when people want the image to actually appear and when not. Now, the one other thing I will show you with ChatGPT, and I'm already realizing I'm going really long here, is a GPT called Super Describe. So this is where you can upload an image and then edit actual other images with it. And so here's where it gets into. I'm just going to show you an example of what I've already done. Where did it go? So let's go to a house with a fallen tree. All right. This was one from earlier. It was I made it with Super Describe. It's pretty realistic. Now, if you click on it and you open it, um, I am with Super Describe. You can use a select tool and you can have it change things. You can say, hey, I don't actually like this tree in here. You can say, remove the tree from the house and put it in front of the house instead. It will take a minute, and I think a lot of I mean, the image won't change as much as it would have if you were just on the regular ChatGPT interface, but you'll see here, Super Describe does do a pretty good job of retaining a lot of what was there before. It's not perfect, but you can see here, right? It is actually gone, but now the tree is just in some branches here, and I guess I didn't do a very good job of selecting everything here because some of it's still here. Now it just looks funny. Um, but you get the gist of it, right? The giant trunk is gone. The rest of the damage is there, and some of the branches are still there. Um, I didn't actually put it in there, but I was able to remove it. So it did cause some changes. And that's kind of the interesting part about Super Describe. The one other thing I like about Super Describe is that you can upload an image and have it generate an image that is similar to it in style or look similar to it or remove things from it. Again, it ends up regenerating it every time, but it is interesting just to see how far we've come and how much you can do with different photos. So that's a quick overview. I know I said I was going to use a couple different tools here, and I did use Super Describe, but I wasn't planning on going this long, so I think I'm going to cut it here. The one last thing I will say is when you save an image off of ChatGPT, Super Describe, any of these, by default, it's going to save as a .webp image file. That is a new image file over the last handful of years that is more, it's a smaller file size. It's perfect for the web. Problem is, not all the not it's not universally recognized by programs. So, for example, if I downloaded this image, this WebP file, I would not be able to turn around and upload it to LinkedIn. I would not be able to put it on a post. Um, I believe I would be able to put it onto a website. Like WordPress is pretty accepting of WebP files, but a lot of social media platforms are not. And usually that's what people are using this for, right? Social media. Um, what I like to say in return is just screenshot it. Screenshot the image, save it as a JPEG or a PNG, and then go from there. I'm not sure about the other LMS platforms, Canvas, Blackboard, Brightspace. I don't know if they will accept those file extensions. I haven't, if it will accept WebP. I know it takes obviously PNG and JPEG. I'm just not sure about it. I haven't tried the WebP file. I don't think it does, but it's worth a try. And if it doesn't work, you can always just screenshot the image. It usually doesn't lose much quality because these are all just generated. They're not actual photos. Um, and it should work. So just a little tidbit there for you at the end. Um, I'd love to hear if you have any other platforms that you use. I do use a lot of other AI image generators. I've used Midjourney. I've used what Google's creating some really interesting things with their labs as well, not just Google Gemini. And so seeing all of these different tools up that are coming up here is pretty interesting. And there's a lot of other things you can do with images too. We'll get into those another time, but just for today, this wraps up this first AI quick overview content creation video. So once again, let me know if you what you want to see next. I'm planning to go into detail about a music video that I created last month that I really enjoyed. That's up next. And so, um, yeah, thanks for watching if you made it this far.